I think it's really exciting to just imagine the opportunities that are going to be given to younger generations. It's a completely different field that they're entering into, and to be given that learning opportunity to learn what it's like being at the booth, learning how to control jumbotrons and even like those screens at a basketball game. It's empowering for students to know that, hey, like I'm able to do this. Imagine what more I can do later on in my future.
Hey everybody, this is Rodney Valinga with the West Ottawa High School Athletic Program, and you're listening to the 29-1 podcast. 29 sports, one team. The show that brings you into the lives of student athletes, coaches, and other faces in the Panthers sports community, bringing you the stories you might otherwise never hear. Join myself and Athletic Director Bill Kennedy as we dive in with you to get to know each other a little bit better. Taking initiative in something unknown can involve great risk, but doing so can also provide the sweetest rewards. Today we are joined by members of WOBN, Quinn VanderKamp, Cody Schurman, Fatima Correa-Morales, along with teacher Lindsay Walcott.
They joined the 29-1 podcast to talk about the development of live broadcasting here at West Ottawa, along with their experience working on game day production. WOBN, up next on the 29-1 podcast. Let's get it.
Canton plows right through that offensive player and forces the moving screen call as she passes it into Honeycutt as she brings it up the floor. Honeycutt passes to the corner. Brooke gets her own rebound after that shot and puts it up and makes the two. What a rebound and score there. Ward for three. No good. Seems as though she cannot make a three on that side yet. Stolen by Branch here. She's trying to look up court, but Catton's defending her pretty heavily. And that will stay with EK. That's a foul on Taylor Catton. Great effort from Catton there, getting on the floor to go get that ball.
That was the sound of history, the first ever live stream basketball broadcast at West Ottawa High School with play-by-play, color commentary, multiple camera angles, and high-end graphics delivered to you by our very own West Ottawa Broadcast Network. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the 29-1 podcast. I'm your host, Rodney Valinga, and I'm joined once again by Panthers Athletic Director Bill Kennedy. A little less than 3 years ago, most West Ottawa sports were delivered to you, the fan, like they always were. But with the addition of West Ottawa Stadium in the fall of 2022, the just announced addition of 3 video scoreboards inside the main gym for the fall of 2025, and the implementation of a mobile live streaming studio already being used this year, the game day experience for fans and players alike has changed and is changing tremendously. Being a fan at football, soccer, or a lacrosse game is very different with all the amenities, and the in-game experience with music, scoreboard videos, and lights makes the downtime between plays that much more fun. And now indoor sports, from volleyball to basketball to competitive cheer, will take on a new look for years to come. However, it's going to take a lot of people, a lot of content, and a lot of tech in order to pull this off. And it's our pleasure to welcome from WOBN, otherwise known as the West Ottawa Broadcasting Network, today's 4 guests. And who might it be?
Quinn VanderKamp, Cody Schurman,
Fatima Correa-Morales,
Lindsay Walcott.
We are so pumped to have you all here. One of the great pleasures this year has been getting to be around you all and kind of see things through from the very first night, kind of walking into a football press box and being like, holy cow, there's a lot going on, to now you guys are like Cody, broadcasting a basketball game, doing play-by-play and color commentary. So really pumped to have you all here.
Yeah, it's been a year where, for the first time ever, really, you guys have really been involved, and it's really been fun for us to do it. Let's go back to that live stream. Cody, who was on the mic that night?
It was me and Connor Knapp.
You and Connor Knapp doing the first live stream ever.
Yep.
Play-by-play. What was it like? I know you've always wanted to do things like that. What was it like to actually be doing it?
At first, it was a little nerve-wracking because never really been in front of the mic like that live ever. So the first few minutes was a little rough. We were getting used to it, but once we really got into the game, and especially in the second half, we were just rolling and just kind of saying whatever came to mind, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I had it on in my office yesterday as I was doing some work, and I'm like, oh, they're really kind of getting their groove. Got into that third quarter, it kind of picked up a little bit, but I thought you guys did great from the beginning. And to be honest, one of the hardest things to do in broadcasting is play-by-play. Mm-hmm. Whether you're recording, something, a WOBN show or whatever, you can go back and edit it, all that stuff. But live is a whole different ballgame. And for the first one ever, you guys were great. Quinn and Fatima, you guys were there too. What were your jobs that night? Quinn, you might want to start us off.
My job was to run the scorebug and make sure everything was running smoothly. If anything went wrong, I kind of felt like I had to take control of that.
And did you?
A couple
You had
times.
a few things happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, this recently, before in live streams, we had buffering. We would just go out, and if that would happen, I would have to try that. It still went out many times, but we couldn't really do anything about it.
That's okay, though. You're pushing the envelope. How about for you, Fatima?
I was in charge of switching cams and making sure that the camera was on the ball the entire game. So I was mainly just switching between the cameras, cam 1, cam 2, cam 3, switching up positionings, things like that. We want to zoom into a different viewpoint of the players. I would be in charge of that as well.
Yeah, it's a really sweet setup over in the corner there, Bill.
It's a long way away from, hey, I would get text messages on game nights. Hey, is a live stream running tonight? And I would have to go into our huddle camera and make sure that it was pushed out. Now we're engaging students, and what an experience for you all really to take forward in life. So,
Lindsay Walcott, I can call you Wally, right? I can do that? All right.
Absolutely.
Everybody else does. So I figure I can pop in. What was it like for you? This is your life's passion. And there's a mobile streaming studio. You have 3 live broadcasting students. And what's the gentleman's name who does IT?
Logan Thompson.
Logan Thompson. So Logan Thompson's up there too. What's it like for you just to, wherever you started off in this broadcasting and now you're seeing that? What's it like for you?
Well, when I started at WO 20 years ago, I think I had 13 or 14 students in broadcasting total. And today I teach broadcasting all day, and it's just such a joy to have the addition of this live broadcasting class. So grateful the district stood behind us and supported us, not only with the addition of the class, but also a very significant investment, both in my studio and control room, as well as the mobile studio you referenced earlier. And it is a joy to walk alongside these students. I mean, we are chatting with the trailblazers right here, and they are awesome.
Yeah. Wally and I have obviously known each other for a number of years, and we would have conversations about, man, it would be really cool to engage students, but a lot of times we were limited by, first and foremost, hours that we both work, because we both pour a ton of hours into our jobs already, and it's taking on something else. But then the technology piece, we could have never have pulled this off at Old Panther Stadium. I mean, we were running music with a CD over there. That's 3 years ago, guys. We were running music with a CD.
Well, you got to tell them how I used to do it, because I didn't have the CD player running for me.
So I first met Rodney. He was doing girls lacrosse games for us because his daughter Claire played girls lacrosse. And he would come up and he would run the scoreboard and he would do music and announce. He did it all, right, in one spot. And I walk up there one night to see how he's playing music. He had his mic laying underneath a coat with his cell phone next to the mic, and the coat would go over top so that we could have a conversation and not come over the PA announcement.
Oh, it was great. Yeah. And there was times I even I brought up the tech. I would bring in a beach towel, which was heavier, that could dampen the sound more. So we did that. It was always pretty fun.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Let's go back to that first night, though. You guys just don't show up and you start running the game. Maybe talk a little bit about what that prep was like for that.
So we actually start prep 5th hour, which is me and Quinn's live broadcasting hour. We pull up all the stuff if it needs to get pulled up from the classroom to the elevator, get it upstairs on the indoor track. And then we take another 2 hours just plugging in things in, undoing wiring and things like that. Lot of prep time.
Undoing wiring takes about an hour by itself because it always gets tangled because we shove it all into a box.
You shouldn't shove it all into a box, Quinn. I did send you a video on how to properly coil and uncoil our cables.
Hey, you told me about that,
so
Quinn.
hard.
We do our best to do it. It's like an under-over method, and It's very difficult because these wires are
Extremely expensive.
expensive, and when they are expensive, they're stiff.
Yep.
And they don't roll up easily.
And they're sensitive. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, I almost, when I was going up to visit you guys that one time, I think I almost tripped over that wire because I didn't know it was going to be there. I'm like, oh, all right, there's a lot going on up here now. So it was pretty cool. Let's get to know the three of you a little bit, though, because you guys are all athletes as well. Fatima, you're lacrosse,
Yes.
and you went out as a sophomore, or did you do it from freshman year?
I did not do it freshman year. I started sophomore
And
year.
why did you join lacrosse?
They didn't do cuts. Like, I joined for fun, and it was an easy sport to get into for West Ottawa, at least.
And you had kind of a long vision with joining lacrosse as well, right? Kind of a resume type thing.
Yeah. Yes, I
Talk
did.
to us about that.
So I was talking to Kayla Chonsomperikba, and she was like, yeah, we need extra girls. Like, just come. We don't really make cuts or anything. We actually need girls. And I'm like, well, I do need something on my resume, so I guess I'll join. There wasn't much thought process going through my head when I joined lacrosse. Like, I didn't even know how to play the sport. But
You're a nice player, too, if I can say. Like, I watch you play. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, and started off on JV, obviously, but I was actually JV captain because I knew the reins of it pretty well, and I came to every single practice. So I was awarded that little title for my first year playing, which was really awesome.
And Cody, you're a tennis player.
Mm-hmm.
Played doubles all these years. You've been playing since little dude, right? How old were you when you got started?
Well, obviously, like I started playing for school in 6th grade, but honestly, I don't remember a time like I wasn't at.
Probably DeWitt Tennis Center taking lessons and all that.
Yeah, but I was doing like the summer camps at West Ottawa since like I can remember, like my whole life, I guess.
Right. So your tennis season is done. You have lacrosse coming up. And then, Quinn, you got baseball coming up this spring. How pumped are you for this baseball season?
Words can't describe it. I'm more than pumped. I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, you got to.
That's not doing it justice.
It's not doing it justice.
No.
You guys had a big win against, well, not a win, but you lost, but against a powerhouse at the end.
Yes.
And you pushed them, some great pitching game. You got a lot of people coming back.
A lot of people. Everyone who played in that game is coming back. So
We've got some big games on the schedule. I was actually talking with my cohort over at Forest Hill Central today to make sure we had the umpires lined up for our doubleheader at LMCU, which is going to be really cool to get into that kind of stadium to play a game. So,
What's it like for you guys to be athletes? And now you're going to be graduating senior athletes. But what's it like from an athlete's perspective to know that this type of way that we're going to cover games and all that type of stuff is coming up? What does it make you feel for future athletes, Quinn?
Well, I'm really excited because I feel with the coverage, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't end. We could push this out to social media. You could be awesome, is what I see. Everyone could watch you. It's pretty cool.
I think it's a very cool way to look back at the way you played. It's a lot more visually. You can see the mistakes that you made, and then dissect from that. Coaches have a lot more easier way of seeing how the opponent's team also played too. You're not just looking at an open field or an open court. You're looking at the actual side of the court of the opponents, and you're looking at the goalie and everything in terms of that. You can see, I made a pass. I can do it something different. Can do another playback or things like that. I find it more tactical in terms of planning for next future games. It's a lot more useful.
I love the way people's minds work. That's awesome. How about you, Cody?
Yeah, I think it's super fun that we're going to get assuming there's going to be a lot more people watching our athletes play now. And, as a tennis player, you don't get a lot of people coming to your matches. It's high school tennis and it's your parents.
Let's live stream that second doubles match.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So for me,
First doubles, second doubles.
Yeah, I love it when people come and watch my match. So I just think it's going to be a lot of fun for kids to have a bunch of people watching them because to me, it was always the more people, the better.
for years, we've hosted the Daktronics summits in the summertime. Usually those are in June. And we'd see these groups. There's a school in Wisconsin, and they're live streaming and with color commentating like 7 different sports. And I'm like, man, that would be really freaking cool to get to a point where we can do that stuff. And now, you know, in large part because we had people that were pushing us, right, Wally? We had some students who were eager, and I'm so thankful that we had those students, because now we look at where we're at and where we can go from here. It's pretty awesome.
Well, is it ever a little overwhelming? The volume, Quinn mentioned this. There's so much we can do, and it's almost like you can just keep pushing, but it takes resources to pull that off. What's it like trying to be in charge of this?
So I like to say that it's both. It's both very rewarding and invigorating, but it is also extremely challenging. Just when you figure something else out, a new hurdle or issue presents itself.
All true.
And this is life, right? It's a really accurate representation of life in that regard. But we just keep pushing through. And the students have been really helpful. Logan Thompson, who we referred to earlier, has been tremendously helpful. But on any given day, I'm running several lines of communication with different people and different resources and trying to figure things out, from graphics to new locations to, oh my goodness, we need some new cabling out at the stadium. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But seeing our kids attack it and the joy that they're getting out of it, just, okay, I'm going to handle this. We're going to add this to the plate and we're going to figure it out as we go along. It's not always going to be perfect, but that's how we learn.
Now, the fun part about, I'm sorry, go ahead, jump in.
I was just going to say I'm really thankful for Bill's willingness and acknowledgement that not everything is always going to be perfect. I think that that's a real key to our success, because obviously the first time it's like not great and stuff doesn't always work. And that I'm just grateful for that. So Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, for sure.
What's really cool about doing this type of stuff is that everybody in this room right now, you just don't like this stuff. You love this stuff, right? Truth be truth?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Quinn, I'm talking to your dad the other day, and he said you've always been a tinkerer since you've been little. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
All right. So, Legos, right?
Legos.
Legos have been a big part of your life, which is a great thing for kids, just building their brain. So, I don't know where the devious comes from yet, but but definitely that tinkering comes from there. And you're like the tech guy around the house. For you, moving into a role like this and doing this type of work, do you find it was almost inevitable for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a part of the band. I have a band. We play country music. And then,
do the promo. Go ahead.
Well, Little House
on the Lake.
Little House on the Lake 24 on Instagram. Come check us out. We're awesome. But yeah, I run all the cabling, and I've been we're recording music, and we're doing all this stuff. And I mean, I've been plugging away at it, and it's all been plugging stuff in, so it just kind of fits naturally that I would be setting up live streaming stuff and doing this and building Legos and being in year 3 of woodshop and all these things, because it's just what I kind of do.
Right. It's just something you love to do. And Fatima as well. You are very prominent. Bill, maybe you want to speak to this because you know more here.
Yeah, I mean, you're everywhere. You are like Miss West Ottawa. You hosted Survivor. You hosted the first voice generation event. You attend board meetings.
Yes.
You weren't always as outgoing, though, from what I understand.
No, I was not. No, I was like, I don't know. I was very to myself at first. So starting off high school, and then probably like prior to that as well. So anything before sophomore year, I was just a very quiet kid. Didn't really do much. And then soon enough, I just flipped a switch and was like, I'm going to change stuff junior year and senior year and just go out there and do whatever I can. And whatever I can is honestly everything that West Ottawa provides. So I started taking on WOBN, extracurriculars, things like that. And I just kind of hit the ground running.
And then when you were much younger, this shocked me when you told me. I couldn't believe it. But you had some stuttering issues as a young kid, right?
I did, yes. I had a very bad speech impediment. You couldn't really understand a single word I was saying as I was speaking. And it was a very hard thing for me to overcome. And a lot of speech therapy had to be put into play throughout my education, honestly, which is probably one of the biggest factors as to why I was so quiet and very to myself. And then soon enough, I started kind of gaining confidence in high school when I soon enough learned how to mask my stuttering. And I just kind of had to work through that mentally and then just start taking on every opportunity I can.
Well, you got a nice smile on your face. Can you comment on that?
I just love these students so much. They all are such hard workers, and it's a joy to work with them and see their success. Wouldn't be here without them. It's a good time to work with these guys.
Yeah, it's really special. Cody, for you, talking to your mom about you a little bit, you've always been engaged in tennis. That's kind of been your main passion, being at school. But she said, watching you be involved in this is something that you're just as animated. One thing that she told me, she shared with me, was you were up in the booth for football, and you took a picture when you were up there, and I think you sent it to your parents.
Yeah.
What was that all about? Tell me about that.
So I'm pretty sure that picture was of me running the music. And I mean, just being up there for that might have been the first time. It was just like, man, like we're at this like super nice stadium and we're like running like all this stuff here, and like just being in charge of music or the scoreboard or whatever, like it was just super fun, and like being able to really be a part of the fan experience. That's something I'm passionate about. And yeah,
it's kind of she said I think you put in the line, this needs to be my life.
Yeah.
Something like that, to that effect. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it has been.
Yeah. I always tell people and students to figure out what your passion in life is, and then find a way to get paid to do it. And if you do those things, it's not going to feel like work, right? It's going to be, you don't have to go to work. You get to go to work. There are days that I'm challenged in that aspect.
I see that. I see that side of you.
But for the most part, I am super passionate about athletics and the things that it provides. And then you start to branch out into this kind of stuff, and it fires me up even more. So
up until this year, this WOBN athletic department collaboration didn't exist, and now it's started. One thing that's great about West Ottawa, it's a school of opportunity. It's a school about collaboration. It's a school of, we're going to go do this. Can you guys just talk maybe just real briefly about how that came about?
So in the stadium, we were in the design process, and we knew that we were getting some boards through Daktronics. Daktronics is the biggest name in stadium scoreboards. You go to Ford Field, it's Daktronics. So I knew that there was like some curriculum stuff that came with the video boards at that point, and Wally and I sat down and we chatted at that point. But at that time, there were some challenges that Wally was facing just in the WOBN studio with technology and the limitations that were there. And it was we kind of kicked the can down the road a little bit and said, hey, once we get this studio stuff figured out, then we're going to be willing to kind of take it on.
Yeah, I think the first step, as I recall, and we've had a lot of conversations about this bill over the years.
You're older, so you're not going to remember.
We are
as much,
older. But I think Bill and I have been dreaming about this for many years, and I've had conversations with administrators before Bill was even here. Like, this is where we should be headed. This is where we should be going. I just couldn't do it by myself.
Yep.
So we're in a different situation now. I think the first step that we took, or the plan we made, was for my advanced broadcasting students to make videos to be used at those football games. And that was a smashing success.
Huge. I mean, it adds so much to the game experience, having 5 questions with the student athlete, or Fatima's 29-1 hype video. All those little pieces just make a game night at West Ottawa is just different than anywhere else you go. I can say that because I'm at all of our games all of the times, and there's no one that even comes close to what we're pulling off, which is why I'm so excited about this gym project. Yeah,
and there's also another piece. There's also some light comedy, some dry humor that was done at West Ottawa Stadium. Let's hit it.
I don't know about this video. What is happening right now? Quinn, what did you do?
You didn't know about this?
Breaking news. West Ottawa's black hole has gone missing. They were last seen around West Ottawa Stadium at 6 p.m. today. Hold on, we're getting word that they have not disappeared. Let's send this to our expert, Cody Schurman, with more on this.
Thanks, Quinn. When you take a look at the black hole, you may not see anything. This is because our students are equipped with camouflage. This is an example of a camouflage shirt. Just like the camouflage shirt, you may not see our students, but you sure can hear them.
It was pretty funny.
I just know that if Quinn and Cody's name is mentioned in the video, like they're up to no good.
Well, it's so much true. What I really liked about it, and the fact that you don't even know about it is even better, to be honest with you. Because
I'm
hey,
not at every game.
you guys
so.
are graduating anyways. But the great part about this, I remember you guys, hey, we made this video. Can we play it? I'm like, I guess, sure, whatever. And
I asked you instead of
well,
me.
it was already made. It was already made, and I think you guys played it for me. Not really looking for my approval, more or less going, is he going to be offended or not? And I wasn't. And then it was great because you guys played it. The cool part about that is, number one, nobody asked you to do it.
No.
And it really added an extra, I don't know, just an extra layer to the black hole in the student. What was it like for you guys to make it, Cody?
Well, Quinn came up with the idea, and we just kind of went into the WOBN studio, got in front of the green screen, and, it took a few tries to get the lines down. But,
Well, we kept laughing while we were recording it. So.
Yeah. But, we got it down, and then Quinn put it together, and then, we threw it on there, and it was great. It was hilarious.
You guys wrote that together?
Yeah. It was just us.
If you're doing stuff and it's not a class requirement, you're definitely in then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was really fun to do. It was a great part, great memory, even a great memory for me right now. And Wally, maybe some extra class credit, bring the grades up a little bit if that's okay. Let's go to the first time you guys are in the press box.
Oh my God.
Because it's a big, big deal.
Yes.
Go ahead, because you're on it.
Yeah, I was brimming with excitement actually when we had first entered into that booth stadium. Wally was like, okay, grab a notepad, bring a pencil, start taking notes. And I took that very seriously.
Yes, you did.
I don't think Willing even understood. I was literally peering over his shoulder. I'm like, Wally, look at, he's clicking on these buttons and the stuff pops up on the Jumbotron. I need to figure this out. And I was just having a blast, just trying to figure out things before anybody ever told me. I was so into it.
I remember telling these guys, okay, Bill has secured a couple of spare seats for us. And I didn't want them to be disappointed, right? So prepping them for, we're basically going to have to sit in the corner and snuggle up. There's not a lot of room. Bring a writing utensil and paper. And I'll let them tell you. But by the end of the game, the situation in the booth was very different than what I prepped them for.
Well, when we got in there, some people weren't prepped that we were going in there. And then the statisticians, they took a quick exit when they saw us. So we had a little more space to stretch out.
It did open up a little bit.
It did, yeah.
Now, the fun part about that is whenever, we have shared, I say this group right here is a shared mind about this stuff. And I'm just going to say it. I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm watching you write stuff down. I'm watching, and it's almost it's not just one thing, it's everything. He moved the mouse to the right at 45-degree angle and clicked on the yellow button. I was like, all right. And then we all looked at each other, I think all at the same time, and it was like, why don't you come down here and do this?
I was in shock. I didn't think you'd actually let me. And I was like, really? Me? I'm like, yeah, of
Home
course.
football game number 1 of the season, right?
Yeah. I was so excited. I was just happy to be there. But I did not know anything about football.
Oh, we're going to get to that now?
Yeah, so
all right.
Let's get into it.
All right, I have a category in this podcast where we talk about our fails, but if Fatima wants to do her
That's
fail
a
now.
fail? I think that's a learning,
it's
a
the
learning
same
opportunity.
thing. They go together.
Oh, okay.
So, all right, so one of the jobs up there is, it's a very menial job, but it's an important one. So you have an iPad and you're moving the first down marker at 1st and 10. They gain 4 yards. It's now 2nd and 6. So I'm like, hey, Fatima, you want to give this a try? Because we're trying to do different jobs. And she's like, what's a down? I was like, oh man, we got it. And I'm on the fly. I'm like,
and the game is going. While you're doing, telling me this.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? You know what a down is? A down is a turn. And a team gets 4 turns to get 10 yards. And then you were good.
Yeah, I was good. I was set after that. And then you're like, just focus where the refs stay.
That's
and
right.
then that's when they're going to go back to that position if, there's a foul or something. And I'm like, okay, I'll just focus on the refs. And I didn't realize how many refs there were at the football stadium as the game was going. So it was so many things I was learning as the game was going. But yeah, it was fun.
Does it make you watch football differently now that you
You know what? It really does.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. It's not like, oh, there's just a couple of guys on the field tossing ball. It's like there's so much production that goes behind the scenes. I've learned a lot from it, and it's like now I know I can even implement some of that knowledge and what I view on the TV from professionals to WOBN and what we're doing right now.
Cody, you're up there. You were up there the first night too?
I
don't think Quinn was that first time, right? Or
Second
were
I
you?
was up there.
You were there. All three of you were?
I was there the second night.
You were the second time. Okay. So let's go to what you're up there the first night. What's that like for you, Quinn?
Chaos. There are people yelling across the booth. Mr. Velinga is running the scoreboard, and then he's playing some music, and then Mr. Van Ins decides to start talking, and he's got to bring it down, and there's just a lot going on, and people are all talking to each other and can hear everything that's being said at once.
When you first jump in there, it's total chaos.
I loved the atmosphere, though. Like, that was just like a point where like I knew where I wanted to be at that moment.
And that crew up there has been together for a very long time. John Merriman, Carl Von Ens, Jim Keekover, like those three have been together for 40 plus years together doing football games. And so to have this new group kind of inject themselves into that, I was like standing back like a mad scientist, like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to go down on the sideline now. I can't wait to hear how this goes.
They really did, and from my perspective, enjoy having these young kids up there, these young adults, I should say. I could tell it kind of invigorated them.
Yeah. And they're all educators at their core, right? Carl was a longtime teacher. John Merriman was a teacher. So, yeah, I think they came to love it.
Cody, when you're up there the first night, I believe were you doing graphics the first time, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think that was our first ever update. So we had this idea to do an update in the OK Red, and I think you did that night. Or a different night, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was like around the red, and it was all the scores from all the games going on.
Yeah, it's not like you press a button, it's automated, and it's done. You had to build that, you're building the graphic, but getting the scores, putting it in, and it's on a crunch time type of thing.
And then to look all through like Kennedy's files and everything's a mess, and you're just like, so where do I put what?
It's when
so
you guys
I need to organize my files more is what I'm hearing.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, you should. You
All
really
right.
should.
All right.
part of being up there is actually, I felt this way the first time I did it, because back in the day, I didn't do anything here until I started doing it. And I remember the first time it's like, oh, you can go in the football booth. And I was like, what? Beside Carl Von Ens? Seriously? And I remember going up there feeling like it was hallowed ground.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I was like, man, like, I really don't want to mess anything up here. And like, cause like you said, they've been doing it for like 40 years together, and you don't want to like ruin their groove. Like, you want to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're up there, you kind of learn some of these unwritten rules. Let's see if you guys figured out some of those, what they were. Quinn, you want to jump on that?
Don't talk over Carl.
Yeah, don't talk over Carl. And like, sometimes he'll give you a glance and that's like, okay, turn on the music. Like, hurry up and turn on the music, and don't like have the music playing as he's speaking.
Yeah, we always talked about that too. We talked about that, the competing sounds. You want to maybe speak to that for a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Cody?
With the band.
Yeah.
Well, just in general, like being in the booth, if you're running music and there's a band and there's an announcer, one of the biggest faux pas is competing sounds.
Yeah, like no one is paying attention to you. Like, you have to pay attention to everyone else. It's like you're the quarterback. You need to know what everybody else is doing. So, like, if you mess up, like, that's no one else's fault. That's yours. So, I guess there's a little pressure, just to make sure there's nothing else going on when you're playing your music. So,
and then you start doing stuff and you start participating. A great learning curve is when you jump in for freshman and JV football.
Or some soccer.
Because you can just do it if you mess up. It's not a biggie, and that's a real place to learn. You guys go from participating to what I call contributing. It's a pretty big difference. Let's go to some of your greater contributions this year. These things never would have happened if you wouldn't have been up there, and it just made everything better. Fatima, let's go to you first. We have a great story. Hopefully you remember this one. It's homecoming night at West Ottawa Stadium.
Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah.
And Quinn, you want to set this up? Do you remember?
I do. Well, we were discussing about what our plan would be for the halftime ceremony. We were like, we'll just do some music and it'll be nice and easy. And you, Mr. Valinga, wanted a drum roll.
So we're going to get to the 2024 homecoming king and queen are
drum roll. So I was looking on Spotify, and we just thought, well, what if we have the actual band do a drum roll?
Yeah, I think you came in. We're talking about that.
Yeah. You guys are talking, and I came in, and I'm like hearing, oh, we could have the band play, and I was like, oh, guys, hold on, I can definitely go down there and figure things out. And we had no source of communication with one another whatsoever. Like, complete trust was given to me to carry out this like little mission, should I say, of letting the drumline majors know, hey, can you do a drum roll when we have our person do the announcement? And I talked to Mr. Hammond, and he was like, yeah, sure, we can definitely do that. I'm like, okay, perfect. And it took me a while because I was also doing like other side tasks. Like, I was not only talking to the band, but I was trying to take pictures of every homecoming group. That was already a huge task on its own,
And we're sitting up there too. So we have the Spotify drum roll ready to go just in case. And I'm like, well, we feel like she's going to come through, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
No doubt.
So we get to that point, and the homecoming queen number 25 is, and then that live drum roll from across the way.
They were loud. We could hear them from the booth.
And just experiencing it from where we were, I just got chills. And I was like, yeah, this is where it's at. Like, on the fly, in the moment, you doing it, us trusting you, and it coming through.
It was so cool to have like student involvement. Like, that was entirely based off of students and saying, yes, we'll do it.
True enough, right?
Yeah, you came through with all the photos too, because they all
the photos
are inside my messy files now.
Yeah.
Well, this was a cool thing too that was done on the fly that night. So you have every 10 yards you have a couple on that field, but you did something to make it richer. What did you do?
So I felt like people are nominated to represent their class, and they deserve a little bit more than just being out on that field. Like, sometimes you can't see them when you're so far up in those bleachers. So I was like, well, I will take a picture of every grade as a group and have us click on it as we're announcing these sophomores, freshmen, juniors, and seniors. Because I just felt like not everybody's going to get that shout out of like, oh, I'm homecoming king and queen. So I felt like in order to equalize that out, it was putting their face on the Jumbotron. That way their loved ones can see them and they're recognized by that huge, because that is a huge accomplishment. They're being recognized by their student body. Like, this is who we want to be represented by at that football game.
And then coordinating with the two of you to add graphics to it. You guys want to speak to that?
Well, Fatima, she made the graphics on Box Out. And
I did.
Oh, you did that too?
Yeah, I was hustling.
Goodness.
She made all the graphics, but we had to click through them, and we made them all in order, which was a surprise, honestly. we didn't lose anybody in there.
And this is happening fast.
It's fast.
And just for the regular person listening, there's a list of stuff that has to already be happening. And it's like, are we really throwing this in? Yes, we are. And you guys all come through, and it's executed perfectly. It was really fantastic.
But like seeing everything come together, it's such a satisfying feeling. It's like my work is being put on that Jumbotron. People are getting the recognition that they deserve. It's an empowering feeling.
Let's go to some contributions from Cody and Quinn. You guys were both kind of DJ music guys.
Yeah.
And what was fun for us, Bill, maybe you want to speak to this.
Yeah, the coolest part, I think, so I'm going to come at music from a certain lens, right? It's going to be
man lens.
Well, it's going to be grunge music and classic rock. That's my I stay away from the bands.
I'm so happy. I mean, really? They're warming up.
I stay away from my jam bands because I know that, that's just not people's jam. But what was really cool this year is as music is happening is I would see young kids dancing to a song, and then the next song would come on, and I would be standing next to our superintendent, and he'd be like, oh man, what a great song this is. And then KJ's there on the sideline, and she's like, oh, I love this song. So it wasn't focused at any one demographic within our stadium. It was literally, there was something for everybody over the course of an evening. It changed the whole feel of a Friday night game.
Cody, how do you put that together? Because you've been going to a lot of stadiums for a long time. There's a certain set of songs that are played.
Yeah.
And you went away from that, and it made it so much better. Talk about that.
I mean, I just felt like, you just hear the same songs to every game you go, like whether it's high school football, like even like a Lions game, like it's the same stuff. So I just kind of went through my music, I'm an 18-year-old, I'm a teenager, like stuff that we all like, and I just went through my music and I, mixed it up with some of the stuff, sometimes you hear at games, and then just jammed it all together and like hit the playlist. And yeah,
even now, if we're in a pinch, so if we're at a basketball game and none of you are there, Bill and I are like, where's Cody's playlist? Where's Cody's playlist?
I've heard them
I use it
actually
at
say that.
basketball. The couple of nights I had to do music this year, I used Cody's basketball playlist.
Yeah. I just remember coming over to you a lot and go, what are you playing right now? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know. After a while, I was like, I'm going to see if I can get him up. I'm going to play something else. That would be you.
I
to
think
me.
the most excited I was is when I heard some Black Sabbath. I was like, oh my gosh, we've got Black Sabbath playing in the stadium.
And then we got Quinn's approach, and you guys are a little bit different from each other. Yeah. Go ahead, Quinn.
My approach was scrolling through my own Spotify and Apple Music and trying to find, and my friends really, because I don't really listen to the new stuff. I'm a little more oldie. And then I scrolled through my dad's Spotify too. And that's where a lot of it came from. Because, my dad has an amazing music taste, I have to say.
He does. We're very similar.
And just the music I've picked up.
Just pat yourself on the back.
Yes. The music I've picked up from the last couple of years listening in the car with him, and like Greta Van Fleet, Black Sabbath, I want Pearl Jam, all of it. When I put it all together, I was like, this is awesome. I love this stuff. And then you just play what the vibe is in the stadium, and it all works together. You just got to have a good feel for what the time is right.
That's a really important part because, doing this work, so I was like, well, should we plan the whole thing out? I've always come back to no, because every night's different, and every person, if you're good, you can feel the vibe of the night and really make a contribution in what you guys did this year.
Yeah, and I will add, with also gathering some of my other music, I got it from playing NBA 2K15 when I was in third grade, and
the influence of 2K.
Yeah, I played that day and night, and I knew all the songs that were in their game and the ones I liked. So a lot of 2K and other games soundtracks contributed to the playlist.
A lot of fun with all those things. Let's go to some of what an educator might call your learning moments. I have them down as your epic fails, which is fine because I have them too. Okay. I have them too. Now, what's funny thing is, Fatima, I couldn't remember any from you. Was there anything that you did up there where you're like,
so amazing.
Oops.
I don't know. I feel like Quinn has seen me trip up a couple of times here and there on the Jumbotron. Oh, black screens. There was not a lot of black screens, but it was just sometimes I would blink out and I'm like, what am I supposed to click again?
Well, that's a program error because they're supposed to something's supposed to run through and pop back, but we've had some little issues.
Okay, so yeah, that's actually
but it was
my fault.
You gotta be on that. Be on that. But
you are supposed to be on it. But that's probably my biggest thing is don't trust the system completely. Have a backup. Always remember to click that button at least once the timer's up, so that way you don't have a black screen on that Jumbotron and you have something that the audience can always look at.
Yeah, don't get caught looking at the game too much or pulling out your phone or whatever the case may be, because mistake is coming quick. Cody and Bill, you have a shared history on one thing. Cody, do you remember getting the anthem prepped and something happening that didn't go your way? If you have wiped this from your memory, that's really good on your brain to take this out.
I think I did. So I think you gotta tell me again.
All right, so. This happened to Bill Kennedy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Kennedy.
So when you're using Spotify for music and you think you got the anthem lined all ready to go and you hit play and you still have the other song low in the bottom bar that's actually going to play. So I'm trying to think back to what song it was.
I know which one it was. It's Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, now please stand for your national anthem. And it was Welcome. And I was like, pause, get the anthem loaded.
Now, Cody, I thought that happened to you, but you don't remember it. You've wiped it from your memory.
I don't know. Give me some context, maybe. Do you remember?
No. That's the context.
You played a video instead of the national anthem?
I don't remember.
The hype video?
No,
Something.
it wasn't the hype video. It was just the song
It was
because
just
of the
the
way
song?
that Spotify loads them
Yeah.
out.
And I have to be honest here, you're not the only two to do it because I've been in the lacrosse booth by myself and it also happened. So it
That
does
was-
happen to everybody.
That wasn't when you were running it through your cell phone.
No, that was at the new
microphone.
stadium. Those are two really good, 2 or 3 really good stories, but it doesn't it doesn't match up
It was
to
probably
the
so traumatizing that they just like wiped it off.
probably. That's probably what happened. It doesn't come close to the light incident.
No.
Oh,
What happened at the light incident?
that was rough.
Well, at the start of the season, I saw Auburn, the university, do something like going into their third quarter where they turn off all the lights and make them go blood red, and they're playing a song, and I think it's sweet.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that could be awesome. And so I make a mashup of like an air raid siren, and then it transitions into Power by Kanye West. And it worked really well. And then I would do all the flashing lights, and this would run right into the third quarter, and it got everyone super pumped for the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you ran it by me. It's like, hey,
okay.
do you think we can do this? We can probably pull this
You're all
off.
about it.
Yeah,
I'm
Did
like-
you guys practice this at all?
yeah, I had run it every home game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this was going into week 9 against Hudsonville. And earlier in the game, when we scored a touchdown, I flashed the lights, and there was a little bit of delay. I mean, not enough to where I really got concerned, but I was like, that was weird.
Uh-oh.
Something's off.
Oh boy.
And then I'm going through it, and I click the lights. I click the music, so it's going, and I click the lights following. So then they start flashing, and you're supposed to, the way I do it is you go to the different settings to give it some variety, and it didn't switch. It was stuck on one of them, like the
Pole
slant
chaser
ones,
or something
pole
like
chase
that, yeah.
for probably 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It would not switch, and I instantly grabbed the radio and I'm like, the lights are broken.
The lights are broken.
They're not switching off. And Mr. Kennedy goes, well, you got to hit high. I'm like, the string's not working.
Yeah.
And I just sat down in the mouse. I'm like, I'm not going to touch anything. And I just leaned back in my chair. I'm like, this is past my pay grade, which is nothing. Which is
nothing. You're on volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, so I was down on the sideline, and I'm like, oh, this is sweet. Place is going crazy. Student sections are both into things. I'm like, all right, man, these lights seem to be running a little longer than normal. Then I hear Quinn call. So then I called Jordan. Jordan Foster is our facilities guy. He's always on duty on Friday nights because he's a jack of all trades. He just happened to be up on the roof of the concession stand because one of Hudsonville's kicking balls went up onto the roof.
So he's just casually on the roof.
Well, he went up to get this ball down for Hudsonville. So I call him.
2
and
minutes
he's
might have
like-
been 5 if that wasn't the case.
He's like, I'm just on the ladder coming down. I'll go and reset it. And so now we know where the lights always have been, the actual manual controls. So he just went in, turned them off, turned them back on, and we were good to go.
Although, while he was on the roof, he got a pretty sweet video of it going on.
Yes, he did.
I saw it on his Instagram.
Yes. He got a great video. Well, and then come to find out, there was a server crash for Musco. It was our lighting company. So their server crashes, and Musco lighting systems across the country were affected. It just happened to time up. And then since then, we have also found out
I did not know
that
that.
we had a wire that was basically defective. So we've had that replaced, and we should be good to go for the
Was not my fault.
spring season.
Main story was not Quinn's fault.
What I liked about that a lot, so people are going to call it a mistake. I love the fact that you were pushing boundaries, number one, which always comes with a Quinn VanderKamp mischievous smirk. You guys all know about this, right?
Yeah.
Your dad says, we have him on a pretty good path, but I always have to remind him to keep it in the rumble strips is the line. So, Quinn, you're always pushing stuff, but I always appreciated it, actually. And what I really liked about that moment is nobody lost it. Everyone just remained relaxed. Yeah. The whole booth, Bill, Jordan getting it done. And for the people who are in the crowd that night, if you're listening to this podcast and you're at that game, you remember it. And guess what? That was fun.
Yeah.
So sometimes these mistakes don't really mean anything.
Yeah, I was down on the sideline. I always go and visit the visiting ADs. I'm pretty tight with Ben Farkas over at Hudsonville. And I remember standing with him. It was like first quarter, and he's like, dude, this is quite the production you have going on. And I am like, yeah. And it's all run by students right now. And he was just like, you have got to be kidding me. You have students running your video board. You have students running the music. Yep, we sure do.
Yeah, I remember the one guy from Grand Haven goes, how do you prevent them from playing bad music? I go, you just got to work together. Like, you got to trust them.
I think being a student and given that trust, it's like a huge accomplishment, because then you're being prepared for a career that you are interested in, and you just kind of take the reins of it. And that's the most best feeling ever.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the really cool parts that have kind of been pushed by this group is something that I've been championing for a couple of years now. One of the real bummers about having these beautiful boards out into the stadium is that once the winter season hits, you come back inside, and it, in all honesty, it gets kind of boring because it's just scoreboards and some music, and that's really it. But because we've been able to kind of connect our students into the process, at last month's board meeting, board project was approved for the main gym. So we're going to have video boards in the gym, which now allows us to do boys and girls volleyball, boys and girls basketball, wrestling, competitive cheer, competitive dance. Our assemblies will be completely different. We won't have to, like last week at the Unified Assembly, wait for the baskets to be lowered because it's in the way of the projection screen. It's going to change kind of what we can do and really add more opportunities for you all. I know that you're all bummed out that it's happening after you leave.
Yeah, we are.
But maybe talk to us about how that makes you feel, that you guys were really the ones that kind of maybe pushed us in this direction to have this project happen.
It's exciting for the people below us. In football and baseball, we always say that we're building a program not for us, but for the people below us. So I was happy to be a part of building another program that is hopefully going to take off. And yeah, I wish I was a junior or a sophomore.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously I wish I was a junior too. But it's super exciting, and I hope that, like, you know, I can come back, you know, 5-6 years, and it's just completely like student run, like super smooth. I mean, I hope to come back and just see how amazing production is and how far we've come.
I think it's really exciting to just imagine the opportunities are going to be given to younger generations. It's a completely different field that they're entering into, and to be given that learning opportunity to learn what it's like being at the booth, learning how to control jumbotrons and even like those screens at a basketball game. It's empowering for students to know that, hey, like, I'm able to do this. Imagine what more I can do later on in my future. And it's like a completely different perspective that they're given.
For everyone listening, I think it's really important to remember, too, that most schools don't have this. I mean, let's go back to basics. Most schools don't have a broadcasting class. Most schools do not have a studio and a control room and a podcast studio. Most schools don't do any of this. And it's just another way that makes West Ottawa so incredibly special.
We got the spring season coming up. You'll be doing, you know, you're playing sports and doing some live broadcasting. So some other people will move into some different roles. I know, Cody, you don't have a spring sport. So we got some really great opportunities that we're going to probably work on with you.
We're going to get you behind the mic. You're going to announce some games this spring.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's happening. Let's talk about where you guys are moving forward to. You know, you're always welcome to come back. We've had Connor Woolley.
Connor Woolley, man. He'll be back in the spring to do some stuff for sure.
Let's talk about you, Cody. You're going to move into sports journalism. This is something you want to try and do.
Yeah, so right now the plan is if I get into Michigan,
right,
that's where I'm going. I got deferred, but if I get in, I'm going to go there and probably do sports management there because unfortunately they don't have journalism or sports journalism.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm going to Tennessee and going to do sports journalism there. And I hope to, you know, go to school there, have some fun, and really meet some people, like get an internship, hopefully with, you know, maybe it's a team, maybe it's, you know, a sports broadcasting company like CBS Sports, ESPN. Yeah, that's the path I want to go down, and I think that's my path to happiness later in life.
It's really awesome. Quinn, you're heading off to Hope.
That's right.
You already have some opportunities there because of some of the things you've been doing here.
Well, I went on an Anchor Day visit, and I was lucky enough to be able to secure a meeting with Freddie Vasquez. He is the live stream coordinator at Hope College, and he talked to me about how all their live streams are student run. And he said, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I want to be a part of this. And me and my mom were like, wow, this is going to be a huge pull for Hope College, as if I wasn't going to go there anyway. And yeah. So then that was a huge thing. And then at the end, he mentioned, and you get paid $11.50 and that an hour. And that blew my mind because I wouldn't get paid to do this. I would do this for free.
Find a way to get paid to do what you love.
As of right now, I'm planning on going to Michigan State. I haven't gotten actually any answer from the University of Michigan, so I'm still waiting. So like late April, I'll figure that path. But I definitely know that whatever comes to pass with universities, I'll end up going to state. They have so many opportunities in terms of like communications and broadcasting. And I know that with just like pulling some strings and getting some connections, I can definitely work at stadiums and athletic centers. So like gymnastics, football stadium, basketball. I feel like whatever happens, like I'm definitely going to go into the broadcasting world. I'm very determined to make the most out of Michigan State and definitely work at it. I really want to work in the sports realm. I just don't know what. I know that I'm completely dedicated to communications.
Yeah, just watch some Robin Roberts videos. Do you know who she is?
You always mention her, and I fail to look her up.
All right, so you will after this. So check out Robin Roberts. It's a great story. You remind me of a young her, like I knew a young her, which I did not. But, your involvement here has been nothing short of inspiring. Going to school, though, we talked about this a couple weeks ago by the scorer's table.
I got the Promise Scholarship,
yeah,
which is essentially a full ride to whatever college or university in the state of Michigan, which is a huge, huge, huge help. And honestly, I just view it as another opportunity for me to like advance and secure my spot of achieving my dreams, essentially. And it's mind blowing to know that I have that capacity and there's a community behind me that views that capacity in me.
When we were talking that night too, you also said for a long time though, you didn't dare dream of it.
No, I really didn't think college was an opportunity for me. I really thought I would just get out of high school, start working, and then live that type of life. Not saying it's not bad, but it really did prevent me from thinking of a career path that I would actually enjoy. Life was mostly about working, get your money, pay the bills, and call it a day. So getting that Promise Scholarship, it's given me that opportunity to look beyond that and really dream more about what it is that I'm passionate about. And I finally allowed myself to really immerse myself into broadcasting because it wasn't just something that I can get out of high school. It's something that I can get in college. And the word college was just so foreign. And it was almost like taboo, honestly. But now that I have that promise, it's like I know what I want and I'm not afraid to dream even more beyond broadcasting and sports journalism and everything around that realm.
West Ottawa grads, wherever you go, there are going to be lots of opportunities. The only thing standing in your way is you going after them and you doing what Quinn did in the conversation at his Hope visit. Like, I want to do this. You just have to say it. You just have to communicate it. So it's a really great reminder. Do that at West Ottawa High School, but don't turn it off. Do it right when you go to your next place.
Hopefully a lot of young kids are listening to this. You guys have really brought a lot of, if you dream it, you can do it to today, taking a chance and doing something like this and making it happen. Thanks to all four of you for coming in. You're all very inspiring. We love the work that you do. And let's just remember.
We are West Ottawa.
We are community.
And we are each other.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, guys. If you have enjoyed listening to the 29-1 podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.